from Savvy Cat Realty, and today I'm here to talk to you about tours and scouting trips. So for those of you who don't know, Savvy Cat Realty is a relocation and investment agency that helps expats settle in Portugal and works from a lifestyle perspective. So we work in the whole country and we help you figure out what's the right location for what you want. And that can be anywhere. It can be a city, it can be a suburb, it can be a rural area, a mountain, a beachfront. You tell us. So we also have a goal of being as transparent as possible in putting the information on the buyer's side so they can make an informed decision. And we want to avoid gentrification and price gouging in order to simplify and help the locals and also help the expats so they end up making good purchases that benefit everyone. So if this makes sense to you, we work with both rentals and purchases, and we list all of your services completely transparently on our website in www.savvycatrealty.com. So feel free to reach out to us there. So about today's topic, tours and scouting trips. This is something that we always include in our services because it's so important, especially when the purchase is for personal use. So the big majority of our clients are purchasing a house in Portugal in order to move there and live there. And of course, it's extremely important that you feel comfortable in that location and also in the property you buy. So scouting trips are extremely important to understand what the right place is for you. But before you find out what the right place is for you, there is a lot of first steps that you must take. And this is, of course, because you don't know our country. I mean, you're not supposed to, right? You are coming here for the first time. And that's what we are here for. But you also have to do your side of the work. So the first things that you need to ask yourself is, why are you moving? What are the big things that you want to achieve when you are here? It can be a number of reasons and all of them are valid. So you can be coming to Portugal because you want a better life for your family. You can be coming to Portugal because you want more stability and a slower pace of life. You can be coming to Portugal because you want to live by the seaside. You can be coming to Portugal because you want your retirement money to last further. You can be coming to Portugal because you have the flexibility to travel with your job and you want to explore. All of these are perfectly valid reasons. It's just important to know which one is yours and what you want to achieve here. So there are a lot of things that are important to consider. One of them is, of course, the lifestyle you are used to. There are always going to be culture clashes. That is completely unavoidable. It's just a matter of being prepared for them and understanding whether or not these culture clashes are deal breakers for you. So this is another reason why doing a scouting trip can be extremely important. And these scouting trips must be done in a very intentional way because it's so easy to just go around in the location as a tourist, but you will probably have a completely different idea of what it is to live there than if you come as a local, and that's normal. So there's a few things that you need to know first to decide the locations you want to scout. And for this, I think the first big decision is to choose whether you want a city lifestyle, a suburb lifestyle, or a more rural lifestyle. And of course, this will give you a completely different set of areas. The second thing that it's very important for you to define is your budget. Of course, your budget range will exclude or include different locations. So it's extremely important to know if the locations are within your budget and are realistic for you. I would also like to mention that we have a guide on moving to Portugal where we have this workbook that helps you make these decisions and you work through them in order to get to these conclusions and narrow things down. and you can download it for free on our website in www.savvycatrealty.com, and we'll be leaving the link below on the description too, so you can check it anytime. So once you narrow down the type of location you want, so city, suburb, or rural, and the budget you have, you will have a much better idea of which locations are suitable for your own particular needs. Another thing that I think it's particularly important to mention is the difference between Portugal cities and, for example, US cities. I've been to the US, I spent 3 months in the US, and the lifestyle in US cities is drastically different from Portuguese cities, and you will always going to feel a difference. And that's okay, that's supposed to. You're probably looking for somewhat of a change. But if you come from a big city and you enjoy big city life, I would probably restrict your options to Porto and Lisbon, because everywhere else will probably feel too small for you. Portugal is a fairly small country. We have a population of 11 million people, of which 1.6 million are expats. So there is not that many of us. And our main cities are definitely the most cultural active, where you have a lot of things happening and so on. And that's a big difference. You won't find that level of activity in any other city in Portugal. You do have some fairly culturally active medium-sized cities, but you won't have the range of options you have in Porto and Lisbon. So if you are used to big city life and enjoy big city life, I probably would stay within those two options. However, if suburbs is something that you would consider, then the medium-sized cities can also be an interesting option and will give you a lot of wiggle space when it comes to budget, because suburbs of a big city and a medium city can be quite similar. Well, depends, because you definitely have more of a city life in medium cities, while in the suburbs of big cities, you are just close. Usually it's like 15-30 minutes drive to the big city. And there's also public transportation. Both options can be interesting, but the medium cities and the suburbs of medium cities can also give you a lot of interesting options when it comes to price range. As for example, Lisbon is the most expensive property area in Portugal, and in Lisbon your budget will have to be at least 4,000 to 5,000 euros per square meter, while in Porto it is already much more affordable, and you can go look at 3,000 to 4,000 per square meter, while in the suburbs and medium cities it can vary a lot. It can be as low as 1,500 or closer to 3,500 per square meter. But as you can see, it will give you a much better range of options. So that's also something to consider. Then of course it comes to the other things that are important. If you are coming with your family, it's probably important to have a school nearby and to know the quality of schools. A lot of our clients are concerned, for example, and prefer to put their children into international schools, and that's okay. There isn't a whole lot of them in Portugal, so it's important to figure that out. That probably is something that's going to limit your location scouting. For example, for retired and for people that come from health reasons, being close to a health provider and having good hospitals nearby is extremely important, and that can also limit the options a bit. So in smaller cities, and especially in more interior locations, the health services in Portugal tend to not be so good. For example, one of the cities that it's most known for the quality of health services is Coimbra, which is also where there is the main medicine university and a lot of medical research. And then, of course, the big cities like Porto and Lisbon have very good facilities. And there are other locations like Aveiro and Braga and Setúbal that also have a very decent amount of offer. And there's also Guimarães that is preferred by retirement because it also has a private and public hospital. So those kinds of things are probably going to be important for your decision making. So it's important to define what are those kinds of things for you. It can be to be near a nature area. It can be to be within a certain area of the sea, a certain distance. And in Portugal, if it is to be under a certain distance of the sea, you will have a lot of options. We are a very coastal country with a whole lot of coast. So just understand your options in order to then select your scouting. I would recommend when you are scouting to not just come for a day unless you are with a local that will explain things to you. And then a day tour is enough and you can make all of the questions and they will be able to explain you things from a lifestyle perspective. And that's what we do with your clients. We have a full day tour on the area and showing the neighborhoods and areas according to their own needs. We always personalize things. And the local agent will be able to answer all of their questions and show them the distance to the supermarket, the kind of services they are, the cultural activities, the how active the area is. You will be able to know a bit about the weather variations and all those kinds of things. While if you come alone, you will probably need a bit more time to experience those kinds of things and figure them out on your own. So I would advise if you come alone and to scout, I don't think you will be able to get a good idea of what it is to live there unless you spend at least a week. And it would be probably better to stay in a home and understand a bit, go shopping and cook and see a bit of those things. So doing scouting trips on your own, I would definitely recommend a bit of a longer trip. I mean, it can be interesting if the goal is just to narrow things down a bit and just have an initial idea of what can be suitable. So a lot of our clients come for 1 or 2 weeks and go to a bunch of different locations and they will just have this initial idea about the cities, and that's okay. But it's probably not going to be a deeper understanding of what it is to live there. So those kinds of trips can be positive to see whether or not you like those locations, but I don't think they will give you the best understanding of what it is to live there. So that's something to keep in mind. So other than that, like I said, the most important thing is narrowing things down. Then visiting, you can split into 2 phases. So do this initial trip to Portugal where you explore a bunch of locations just to get an initial idea, and then do a more in-depth living perspective, either tour or trip. And I think only once you do that, you should start looking at actual real estate. Another thing that I would say is that here in Portugal it's not very common to have open houses, and it can be a bit harder to schedule visitations and so on. And the agents will show you around, but if you start asking for too many showings and you are just, doing a scouting trip, you will probably not have people will probably eventually stop showing you things. So you should be careful of how you approach things, and this also can have a negative impact on you, because once you are in contact with the agency and are in their database, they can consider you their client, which is actually pretty silly. And then that can generate problems later on when you actually go for a purchase if another agent claims that you are their clients. So those are all things to consider when you are planning your initial trip. And like I said, open houses are okay and not very high risk, but they are fairly rare here in Portugal. I would not advise doing a lot of real estate visitations until you have an actual buyer representative. And I would advise to try and understand things from a living perspective as much as possible, and to either have a local person helping you around or hire someone like us, which gives you local insight as part of the service. So I hope that this was helpful when it comes to understanding and preparing your scouting trips. And you have a lot of free information available on our website and on our blog on www.savvycatrealty.com. We offer tours as a standalone service, both half-day and full-day walking tours and driving tours. As I said, they are completely personalized to your own needs. So if that makes sense to you, do reach out to us at contact.savvycatrealty.com, and we would be more than happy to help. I hope that this was helpful, and I hope that you have a wonderful day. We are here every week with useful content for those leaving and looking to move to Portugal, and I hope to see you next week.